The long-running franchise Transformers is back again with yet another 7th installment in the movie industry, the next sequel titled Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And today we're going to talk about some changes that are about to happen because of it, and just how big of an impact it might have, and changes that this movie will bring towards the franchise, the story, and the future of the machine-like humans we all know and love.
It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out! We roll!
Introduction. Before we move on and say a few words about what is coming up, we should probably talk about the present and where the whole franchise stands. When all the rumors, critics, and debates are taken into an account, we can see that right now the Transformers franchise is on the ropes. But Beast Wars, the event that will take place in the sequel, may be just the thing the franchise needs, the key that will reinvigorate the whole thing back again. Based on the wildly popular Hasbro toy line, Transformers enjoyed a string of successful films directed by Michael Bay before the bottom fell out with Transformers: The Last Knight. The latest installment from their universe was Bumblebee, who served as a soft reboot of sorts and went on to become a modest box office success, one of the two sequels announced at the time, with the Beast Wars being what is coming up next, bringing us even further down in history to dive deeper into the roots of the Transformers. Based on the 1990s subline of the same name, Beast Wars could be a massive departure from what has come before in the Transformers film franchise. Something different, a radical status quo change that could potentially turn things around for Optimus Prime, who, to be honest with you, has been on life support for a while now. To understand what is coming up and how this next sequel could be the thing that the franchise needs, we'll talk about some of the changes coming up with it, while also the meaning behind the movie and the story it tries to tell, which will eventually be the best thing that could happen to the franchise at the moment. Beast Wars continued the original series.
We're Autobots. We're from Cybertron, a planet far from Earth.
Just like the movie franchise is right now, in the early 90s the Transformers franchise seemed like it was on its way into oblivion. After the original 80s run died a natural death, Transformers Generation 2 proved to be a major disappointment, featuring merely repainted old toys and cartoon reruns that no one was excited to see yet again.
He's more than meets the eye. Heroic Autobots versus evil Decepticons.
The last-ditch effort Save the Line was launched in 1995 under the moniker Beast Wars, where instead of alien robots that disguise themselves as vehicles on modern-day Earth, Beast Wars would feature robots that hid themselves as animals on prehistoric Earth. A huge change from everything we knew to that point. A huge risk taken that eventually led to a success, an overall shift in the line, and the status quo change that proved potent. For the toys side of things, not only were the toys fantastic, but the Beast Wars was a revelation in Transformers storytelling, featuring harder science fiction stories and concepts that previously seemed possible in the franchise, now coming to life. This shift in the franchise developed some of the most notable characters in the franchise, such as Waspinator, Rat Trap, and Rhinox, all of whom showed up in later fiction. A period in the franchise that seemed like the last time it has faltered, to this day at least. Beast Wars continuing the movie story. For the record, the Transformers movies are not exactly continuity heavy. For example, the Michael Bay's movies are constantly contradicting each other to the point that it would seem like they are not connected at all. This can be a bad thing, but in this case, it could serve as an advantage for the Beast Wars movie, as the time travel involved could lead to temporal inconsistencies, such as Bumblebee first arriving on Earth in the 1980s.
XM satellite radio.
Digital cable brings you.
Broadcasting system.
So you talk through the radio?
But also fighting alongside Allied forces in World War II. That said, there's nothing in Bay's movies that would preclude a story on prehistoric Earth, so the setting and the general status quo of the Beast Wars cartoon could be the one we know, thus bringing an interesting element of the movie, introducing the iconic Autobots from the 80s, in a dormant state, needing defending from a group of ragtag Maximals. Beast Wars could also take care of some of the biggest criticisms of the franchise, perhaps the biggest between both the good and bad Transformers films, is that the Transformers themselves are often second fiddle to their human counterparts. A notable element that would likely be omitted in the movie would be the human aspect of the franchise, where in all of the previous ones there was a human side of things, a dozen of them helping the Autobots in their endeavors. However, knowing that Beast Wars concept takes place long before the humans ever gaining a foothold on Earth, the movie would likely not include humans, yet another big change from what we're used to by now. The movie will also probably be less convoluted and scattered than the Bay movies, concentrating on a smaller cast in one central location. The sequel might ultimately follow in the footsteps of what's come before and simply ignore everything that was happening in the Bay movies. The seeds for the Beast Wars movie could be planted in the Bumblebee sequel rather than trying to pull from the B-movies, seeing how the movie's reputation has declined over the years, with Bumblebee being the one on the other side of success. Beast Wars changes that could save the movies. There must be a reason that Transformers flourished while other 80s toy franchises like Mask and G.I. Joe have floundered. Well, beyond the cool toy pattern, unlike the others, the Transformers always managed to reinvent themselves to have new, interesting stories to tell with iconic characters in between. At this point, Optimus Prime is as much household hero as Superman or Captain America at this point.
Honor to the end.
And with that in mind, the franchise can willingly take some creative risks, and make no mistake, as we said before, Beast Wars was a risk in its original iteration back then, and it would be right now with this next sequel of the franchise. There's also the possibility that Hollywood executives will entirely miss what made Beast Wars special, missing the whole point completely, thus losing the essence of it along the way. The somewhat convoluted time travel heavy story that has been perfectly suited for mildly serialized television might become a bust in the end. There's no guarantee that it's going to work, but with the background the franchise has, this is a risk that they can willingly take. Bumblebee felt more like a course correction rather than a true rebirth of the hero and the franchise at that too, something the movie's modest box office success can confirm. That movie followed a similar template to that of the Bay movies, however the execution of it felt more impressive. Beast Wars will definitely be a massive change that will remake the context of the franchise and what it's capable of. A successful change at Beast Wars could open a lot of possibilities for the franchise in the storytelling side of things. After all, it was the first reinvention of the Transformers, but it wasn't the last. Concepts like Beast Machines, the Japanese Unicorn Trilogy, and the comic reinvention of Generation 1 could all be there to further the storytelling of Beast Wars, a sequel that will bring a lot of changes to the franchise, without a doubt. The possibilities of Transformers on the big screen are almost endless, and this next movie could well be a proof of that. A movie that will bring a lot of changes with it, changes that would probably make the franchise great again, that is, if everything goes as planned. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below what are your expectations of Transformers Rise of the Beasts in the movie industry, knowing what kind of an impact it had back in the day for the franchise as a whole. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.